Okay. Let me just turn down the AC for a little bit.
Yeah, probably wise.
All right, better?
Much better.
All right, it was like because I'm sitting right next to it. You got quieter cooling system.
Wow. I heard that make sure that the computer that you're calling me from, because I just heard my volume adjustment on. Oh, actually, hang on. I know what it was. Okay. Never mind, I got it. And we're streaming.
Yay! Hi, streamers.
Oh, hi.
Oh, I am salty today.
Why is that?
Oh, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
Well, I'm excited.
See,
No,
that's-
we'll talk about my saltiness at length. Well, actually, not at that length, because fuck the subject to which I am talking.
your salty
Referring
length.
too vaguely.
Why are we talking about your salty length? And why are you calling it that?
Hi, I'm Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Jack.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
And we are Glib Shark. Tonight, a look back at the 1990s animated series Botsmaster. But first, as always, we have the lovely, the talented, the amazing Oboe Crazy here to do a little something that we call This Week in Geek.
Hooray.
How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing great. So this week's Week in Geek is Batman themed. All three of the things I'm going to talk about are all about Batman. Because sometimes things just fall into my lap in wonderful ways. First, in our long history of reminding all of the geeks out there that, hey, you can't be stupid and be a geek or we're going to make fun of you. No, you can't take a Batarang through airport security. That's right. 4 Batarangs were recently seized by the TSA last weekend in Boise, Idaho. Because, hey, sometimes you have to fight crime in Boise. The official TSA blog entry is titled, quote, TSA Week in Review 41, Loaded Firearms, and More Batarangs, end quote. That's right, more Batarangs. Because apparently this is not the first time that people have tried to bring Batarangs on a plane. Apparently, 2014 year in review had a, quote, a Batarang and another Batarang, and this is not the first time that any of that has happened. What's actually pretty impressive about these Batarangs, the most recent one, is that they're 2 different styles. So obviously, whoever is bringing them on the plane is a fan. In addition to the Boise incident last week, 3 Batarangs were found in Charlotte in April, although all those were the same Batarangs. And then there were 3 more, specifically in Buffalo in July, along with an assortment of knives. It's pretty impressive. Go take a look online and laugh, and then remind yourself that, hey kids, just because it's a toy from Batman, if it's got a sharp edge, you can't bring it on a plane. The TSA is going to take it from you. Moving on to other Batman news. This is not going to be a surprise to anyone, but just in case you were wondering, no, Donald Trump is not Batman. He lied to a little boy this week on camera when the boy asked him if he was Batman, and Trump's response was, I am Batman. This is your PSA to remind you that no, Donald Trump is not Batman. Finally, for someone who is and was Batman, I do have slightly sadder news. We've actually talked about this gentleman before. Lenny B. Robinson is probably not a name that you recognize offhand. You might know him more as the Lamborghini Batman. You might also know him as the super rich guy who basically loves Batman and bought himself a Batmobile and made himself a Batman costume and decided that the best thing he could do with all of these new toys was go and visit sick kids in hospitals. That's right. He's been doing this for years. He actually became a viral sensation, and we talked about this 3 years ago when Maryland police pulled him over He was in his Lamborghini. He was wearing his Batman costume. He was pulled over because his license plate, there was an issue with it because it had the Batman signal on it. And so they pulled him over. And then there's this viral video out there of him being Batman. So it came out that he's this wealthy local guy who dresses as Batman and visits kids with his car and hands out toys and memorabilia. Sometimes he's got his son with him dressed as Robin. He's been doing this for years. He's partnered up with Children's National Medical Center in Washington. He's been just this amazing guy. And sadly, recently, he was actually killed. He was actually in his Batmobile dressed as Batman on his way back from visiting children's hospitals, and he was killed in a car crash on I-70 in Maryland. Reports are that he pulled over because he was having engine trouble, and some friends that he had met at the gas station that he had actually been giving toys to the kids there stopped to help him. And while the reports are not exactly clear, it was a dark road in Maryland. He was not pulled over from the fast lane far enough. And while he was getting out of his car, a car came along and hit him and hit his car, and then he got basically run over by his own car. It is sad, but this is a guy who was Batman. As much as the people with the batarangs on planes thought they were Batman, and Donald Trump thinks he's Batman, this guy really was Batman. So you can actually read the Washington Post article about him. It talks about, he's mentioned as the Route 29 Batman, because that's kind of his local area. In lieu of flowers, people are asking, family members are asking that they send money to children's hospitals in the area. So definitely go check out the Washington Post article and help honor a life of a guy who, is the geek that we all kind of wish we would be if we suddenly had a ton of money, the kind that would go out and use that money to do awesome things and make people's lives better in the geekiest way possible and really be Batman. That's all for This Week in Geek. I'm Obo Crazy, and I'm not Batman.
The world is indeed a strange place, although without this latest Batman, a little sadder place. If you have a fact you want read live and on the air, you can send it to Lauren at obocrazy.com. Or you can post it on our Facebook page, or tweet it to us, and if it's a good fact, we'll read it live and on the air, although that is a real bummer to end This Week in Geek on.
It is, but it would have been disingenuous to start with that, because I wanted to spend the most time on that, and it is a bummer, but it's the most important story, and I usually end either with the silliest or the most important, and I didn't want to end with the other two, so there you go. So sometimes you got to end on a bummer.
Yeah,
we can just pile it on. Like, we can just talk about how Jared from Subway got brought up on child porn charges.
Let's
pile on the bad news here.
Wow, just leaning into it, huh?
What else? What other shit can we throw on this? Let's see. What other terrible stuff happened this week? I saw a video of a robot running through the forest. That's pretty fucked up.
Was it then immediately mauled to death by people in Pittsburgh or in Philadelphia? I'm sorry.
Well, Philly already has its robot kill, so you need to give it to someone else in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's true. No, you know what? Sometimes This Week in Geek is not happy. Sometimes it is poignant and sad, just like Batman.
Or BoJack Horseman.
No, not like BoJack. Well, maybe. I don't know. He's also not Batman.
I mean, I would love to do something like that, but I would pick such an obscure character that no kids would recognize me. It's like, who the hell's Bravestar? Why are you dressed up like that? That's supposed to make me feel better than I'm dying?
Couldn't escape the Bravestar reference this week.
I could have went with the Botsmaster, which I think I already did.
You did.
Ziv Zoolander, dressed up as him. Like, who the hell is Ziv Zoolander?
I don't know.
You see, that's the thing. The kids would not get any joy out of it. It's going to be way behind before their time.
Okay, so I was trying really hard not to talk about Fallout Shelter, and
no, you weren't. No, you weren't.
We made it like 15 minutes.
But wait a minute.
The only reason we made it this far is because I've been talking about Batman for the last 10 minutes.
So, the Fallout Shelter section is actually going to be pretty short. Fuck that game. I am done. I uninstalled it from my phone.
Wow.
Not bad.
Yeah, I ran into a small but unfortunate string of events. So, a good friend of ours, Izzy, tweeted out, or no, she didn't tweet out, put it on Facebook, comparing Fallout Shelter to a puppy. and that it needs attention constantly. And if you leave it alone, you come back and it's a disaster. Well, she was pretty spot on because I had started, this was actually my second vault that I had started. My first one was a tire fire. I didn't really understand some of the building mechanics, and I didn't really have a good grasp on how things interacted with each other. So it was just a mess. So I started a second vault this morning, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I got it up to where my previous vault had been. Everything was great. My people were having lots of sex and having lots of babies, and I reached this point at which it was like a precipice. It was like, all right, things are so like almost bad, but they're good, and I did a really good job of keeping up with stuff and keeping the balance essentially. Then I started playing Destiny, and this was where my mistake was. I didn't stop the app while I was playing. So while Jack and I were messing around and like doing bounties earlier, I missed a couple of really important collection taps from some of my resource buildings, and like that was the domino. Like everything fucking fell apart after that. It was a beautiful like destruction, and everything just went downhill. I couldn't get any resources. I had random monster attacks, and finally with this last monster attack, with 1 minute before I got just like a mess of resources that probably would have helped fix everything, I had a random event basically kill a bunch of my people. So I'm just like, fuck this. I uninstall it from my phone. I'm done.
Wow, first rage quit in a long time.
Yeah, no, fuck this game. Like, and it's insidious. It is designed to make you buy lunchboxes. Like there was a tweet that Bernie had not too long ago during RTX about how he bought 50 lunchboxes. Well, you know what? I'm not buying fucking 50 lunchboxes. I said I wasn't going to spend any money on this game, and I intend to stick by that. And not only am I not spending any more money on this game, I'm not spending any more goddamn time on this game.
If I remember in fairness correctly, he bought the lunchboxes. Didn't he film it, him and his sons opening them up, and it was basically an experiment to see what you would actually get and whether it was worth it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think he talked about that on the most recent podcast.
Other than 50 lunchboxes that he bought.
Okay. Well, yeah, a lot of those free-to-play games are exactly that. They are designed to encourage you to buy shit. The games that I find that are the best free-to-play games are the ones in where you can continue to play and never buy anything and continue to have a lot of fun. And eventually you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I should give the developer some money, and then you buy something. Those are the ones, like I've got 2 games on my iPad. I've got Battle Nations and the Marvel puzzle game. Both of those you can play tons of and never buy anything and be totally happy and succeed at the game and have a lot of fun. And eventually with both of those games that I've played now for more than a year or two, I said, I should buy something because I feel like the developers have earned my money. But yeah, what you describe is what I think 99% of the free-to-play games are out there.
And that's not being quite fair, because there are lots of people who have bought nothing but are doing well in the game. I don't know how much stuff our good friend Jules has bought, but she was the one who kind of got me into it. I'm positive that Izzy has bought nothing for the game, and she
just confirmed it.
Yes.
We're positive because she's in the chat saying, I have not spent a penny on this game.
Right.
Neither have I, but I've only been playing for about an hour. And it keeps crashing on me, so it doesn't stay open.
Well, that's a different problem. But like, there are people out there, and like Izzy, and I'm sure other people who have bought nothing for this game and are doing just fine. And I think the difference in the experience is that it is such a razor thin line. Like, basically what the lunchboxes get you are lots of money, good dwellers, and weapons. Like, I had a weapon that I got in this last vault run with one of the free lunchboxes that it gives you, and it solved a lot of my problems. And one of the reasons why things kind of went bad is I lost track of who had that weapon. And normally I'd been disarming everyone and putting everyone's weapon into a vault. Like, no one got to keep a gun, and especially this gun. But during one of the attacks, it was just like, I could not find this gun, and it was too late before the random event killed everyone in my power plant. And so I actually was feeling kind of hopeful. I was like, okay, I'll just it sucks, but I'll only res who I can afford, and then I will just get rid of everyone else. I'll kind of start over and see what happens. And right before, like, I was going to get like a med pack, a radiation pack, a bunch of power to actually start powering like my food and water generation, I get another random event and it kills a bunch more people. And I'm just like, all right, I'm done. Uninstall. Fuck this. I've been encouraged to try and maybe start up another vault again tomorrow, and I very well may, because honestly, like, I got pretty far in one day, and I could probably do that again. I just need to know that if I'm going to play, I can only do it when this game has my attention. Like, you can't get distracted, especially during that 18 to 24 dweller zone that I was at, where you have just enough of your big buildings to kind of sustain you, and you're saving up for those upgrades for those buildings. I'd actually upgraded my power plant, and it was humming along really well, and I was getting ready to upgrade a different resource building, essentially. And it just... everything just kind of fell apart at once, and I got really frustrated and very angry, and thus the saltiness at length.
And the rage quitting.
Yeah. I've just, and it didn't help that, like, I came in here and I had a plan to keep the Skype call in house, so to speak, and that didn't work either, because the laptop I was trying to use, I didn't quite put the power plug in all the way, and its battery was nearly dead, so it powered off on me a couple of times. And I was just like, this is not helping my mood at all.
I have to say, that was a daunting 20 minutes where you rage quit and then decided you'd eventually come back to Fallout Shelter.
Well, no. I, like, all of this was kind of happening before. I haven't decided if I'm coming back or not. I probably will, but we'll see. But for now, fuck this game.
It sort of goes against the grain of what a tablet game should be. If it needs your complete attention, like, the thing I love about my tablet games is you can pause them, you can walk away from them for a little bit, you can start them up and start them much more easily than you can with most console games. But if something needs your undivided attention, and like,
well, and like, for most of the game up to that point, it's exactly like that. Like, you just need to make sure you tap every once in a while. You just need to. And you can, like, shut it down. You can actually just stop the app and then come back to it when you have the chance. But like I said, the point I was at was a very precarious one, and that's where the microtransactions, and that's actually the most insidious thing. Was during that time, I'm like, man, just a couple of lunchboxes would really help me right now, because I could use the weapons, I could use the people, and I could use the cash. But then again, Bethesda could also use my cash, so that's why they made the game this way.
Oh,
yes. But it's hard, but it's possible to get over that hump
by closing the app when you're not using it.
No, what I'm saying is it's difficult. It's not easy, and spending money makes it easy. The choice you have to make is it worth it? And that's the choice with any game. You have to decide, is it worth the time and effort to put into it? And is Fallout Shelter worth it? I don't know. I've only played it for 2 days, and I've, like, quit 2 vaults already. So maybe not for me, but maybe for someone else.
Yep, we'll get an update next week on Jonathan and his shelters, whether he's already had 4 more vaults between now and then, or whether he's gone nope and uninstalled.
Like, in one day, I got up to, like, the I didn't quite make it to a gym, but I made it up to. I had, like, this vault was really nice. Like, I had actually done pretty well on it, and it was just one bad hour.
It happens. It happens in all games, whether they're free to play or not. The good thing about this is, if you haven't spent any money and it's a free to play game, if you decide nope and you nope out of there, you haven't lost any money. You've just lost a little bit of time. And hey, you've now gotten a good 20-minute rage quit story out of it.
And if you win lunchboxes, then you're playing with house money.
There you go.
Yeah, and one of the, like, little achievements was bugged. Like, it was equip a dweller with a shotgun. So I had a rusted sawed-off shotgun, and I'm like, oh, hey, here's the shotgun. And it never like, actually popped. And I might revisit that vault just because I think if enough people have died, I won't need nearly as much food or water or anything like that. So I might be able to come back because the minigun I got is so fucking cool.
Mm.
It really helped through a lot of the early thing. Like raiders just never bothered me because as soon as they would enter the first room, I would equip someone with that minigun and then everyone would die. It was great.
I feel like
anyway, all
I'd
right.
have more time for games like Fallout Shelter and Hearthstone if it weren't for all of those just random YouTube videos I watch. Like I've been on this huge SNES like gameplay kick, or we like New Super Mario Brothers Advance. I've just been watching gaming videos of this stuff just to sort of get caught up on all of it. And it's engaging in a different way because I get to see all the stuff that the gaming thing satisfies. I haven't played the game.
Well, like, did you ever? How much SCNS did you play when you were a kid?
Well, that's the thing. I had a Genesis growing up, so I'm getting caught up on all this stuff.
Poor.
I had an
Yeah.
SNES emulator in
I'm
college.
so
and
sorry.
I caught up on some of that stuff, but no, Genesis was actually really cool. Like the music was better, although the graphics were.
No, please keep telling yourself that.
Well, the music is way better. Listen
Oh
to
my
an
God.
SNES like music, and listen to the Genesis music. Listen to the thing from Maximum Carnage from SNES, and then listen to the theme from Genesis. The Genesis music is far superior.
Or
Listen, no one is arguing that.
Or you could listen to because I have several counterpoints. You could listen to the music of Legend of the Lost Ninja. You could listen to the music from Final Fantasy 2, 3, or 4. You could listen to the music of ActRaiser. Not so much ActRaiser 2, but ActRaiser 1. Oh, sublime.
Listen,
yeah,
I think
the
in general
music
the SNES
is interesting that you would bring that up because the music for SNES awesome.
What the SNES has on the Genesis is a much larger and deeper catalog. And if you're going to compare music, it's hard to get beyond nostalgia and just objectively good music. I think what Jenga is trying to say is that the hardware capabilities of the Genesis were slightly better than the SNES. But the quality of the games and the quantity that came out for the SNES was unparalleled.
Yeah, I mean, arguably the PS3 was technically superior to the Xbox 360, but the 360 had a better catalog and a better gaming experience. So it
Right, but what I'm saying is that and like Obo said, it didn't matter because not only did the SCNS have the market, but it also had the composers. Like it had Nintendo composers, which are still talked about and their music still played. I would challenge you to find a Streets of Rage being played by a orchestra somewhere. But you can bet that the music from Super Mario World was probably played a couple of Saturday nights ago at Video Game Orchestra.
Oh, sure.
You do realize what's going to happen is the next time I do Obo tweets that the very first thing is Jenga's going to get on and be like, "I need Streets of Rage from you now, Obo."
No, I mean, I'm not talking about the games that were SNES exclusive. I'm talking about whenever there was a version made for both systems. Generally, the music for the Genesis version was better.
Well, there weren't very many of those. There
were a lot. There's Street Fighter,
and
Mortal Kombat, a lot of the Capcom games once they went free. The sports games. There were a lot. There were more than a few.
I never played any of the sports games. I pretty much stuck to, like, my big SCNS plays were obviously Super Mario World because it came with it. But not only that, it was such a good game, and
yeah,
it lended itself to some fucked up situations. Like, all right, Yoshi is your best friend. Like, you befriend Yoshi, and he helps you on your adventure. And
I know
you're like, "Yay, Yoshi!" So then there are some jumps that you make that you aren't going to make it to the other side. And what do? You ditch your best friend. You literally ditch Yoshi so you can make the jump.
I feel like this informs some of your thinking to this day.
Oh no, it does. So like. And then like there were the speed runs. Like before Games Done Quick was a thing, my brother and I used to do like Super Mario World as fast as we could. I think we got down to like 22, 21 minutes or so.
Right.
On Super Mario World from beginning to beating Bowser.
Yeah, and I would say that like
I mean, I'm sure there are quicker ways to do it, but
yeah, back to the music piece of it.
But back in the day, before the internet, before you knew what speedrunning was for you
before
and your brother,
I realized you could probably glitch that shit in like 5 minutes or whatever, and it's just like, well, fuck me, I guess.
Right. But yeah, like even Super Mario World was kind of interesting, and I only got to learn this in college that all of the music, all of the background music uses the exact same like the same like in some way in all of the songs, even the boss levels, Ghost House, Fortresses.
Now, Jack, I think you're being glib.
I'm not.
You
It's
are.
absolutely true.
There are themes. There are definite themes.
That's what I
but
mean.
There are
That
at
theme.
least 3 or 4 different themes that you kind of go through.
Well,
And
no,
yes,
I'm not,
that one is the.
I wasn't saying that as a bad thing. I was saying
It sounded like you were saying that.
they
as
took
a-
that motif. Maybe I'm using the wrong word for it. Maybe I'm not equipped musically to talk about it. But that motif, there are the few bars that they use. It's not repetitive.
I mean, not to interrupt here, being the music major and all, but I think what Jenga is trying to say is that a lot of the main themes, the couple of them that are in that that awesome game, eventually have a bunch of variations on them, and you could say that the entire game is a theme and variations in a round.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. That there's
I
that
disagree
piece,
because I
and
think there isn't just one theme in the game. There
Well, yeah, as I said, there are
are
a couple different themes,
but they're
and
not
they are-
variations on one thing. There
No,
are
no, no, no. There are different themes, and then each theme gets a whole
reincorporates
bunch
that
gets a whole bunch of variations on them.
and you hear it a different way in every song.
right. No,
It
I'm
always
not,
goes
and
back
I'm
to
not
that.
disagreeing. I'm just saying that there's not more. There's more than one, and
Yes.
and
Yes,
I think
we
I
are
think if
saying the
someone
same thing. I'm just doing it with
I
correct
know,
musical
but I'm just saying that-
terminology.
I'm just saying between the two of us, who spent more hours playing Super Mario World is all I'm saying. You've got a tangential knowledge of the music of Super Mario World. Don't speak to me of Super Mario World, sir.
Here
I
we
know Super Mario World.
Of the
But-
three of
but-
us, who's
but-
the goddamn music major?
Right. Okay. We can agree to disagree. That's fine. But
No,
I'm-
no, we're not disagreeing. We're saying
No,
the
we
same-
are. Fuck the Genesis. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
So anyway, so I'm still salty apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So, but like by far one of my favorite video game music experiences is a game called ActRaiser, and Jack, if you haven't, I would highly suggest if you're watching SDNS videos that you watch anything concerning ActRaiser, because not only is the music extremely good, the gameplay is kind of simplistic in the side-scrolling parts, but it's got this like civ building section where you fight for a portion of the world, and then after you get done killing a mini boss, you build up that world. You build villages, you protect from monsters. It's like a top down civ building thing. And that's, I keep saying it, but it's true. Then once you get to a certain point, a bigger monster comes out and you have to go fight him. And then once you've freed that land, you can kind of come back. But it's just it's marvelous. The music is excellent. There is a hard to find orchestral version of the soundtrack that, I'm just saying, if someone has to buy something for my birthday, that would be fantastic if they could find it.
Hint, hint. We need a post office box for this show so people can mail us stuff without having to compromise our super secret homes and fortresses.
I like this plan. But we live in 3 different areas, so who gets the P.O. box?
It's true.
I don't know.
I think we split the difference. I guess that would mean,
That would
Jonathan?
be what?
That'd be
But-
Denver.
or like that's that place in Pueblo where you get information about news, or McGruff, the crime dog's address in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh God,
60652
Chicago's probably actually the middle ground for all of us.
Chicago. Yeah, that's a good point.
Probably, yeah.
As far as a major city, yeah.
I have been to Pueblo, Colorado, and it is so Colorado, like by and large, is a really nice place. Lots of cool areas to visit. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of the country, except for Pueblo.
Ooh.
Pueblo is one of the dirtiest cities I've ever been in, and I've been to the East Coast.
Ouch. Thanks, guy.
No, actually, I'm like, so the East Coast, like for all the crap it gets, like New York and Philly and Baltimore and all that. Okay, maybe not Baltimore, but New York and Philly are actually really nice, and I love visiting both those places. But Pueblo, Colorado is just like Rust Belt made it all the way out to Colorado. It's really bad.
Wow. The land that God forgot.
Is at this point we would like to apologize to all of our Pueblo, Colorado listeners.
And you know what?
The views expressed by
we've had
by
beef
Roadblock.
with Latvia for so long. We need something closer to home.
Like a domestic beef, Pueblo,
Yeah,
Colorado becomes like the enemy town for us. Yeah, I guess
Now
New
I just
Jersey's
want a
too
hamburger.
easy.
New Jersey's
Why does your
easy.
podcast have a beef with Pueblo, Colorado?
Well, you see, one of the hosts went there as a kid and didn't like it. And that's really it. Like I have no other basis for that. I know nothing about Pueblo.
How old were you when you went?
I don't know. Probably like 10, 11, maybe.
Okay, I mean, long ago
Old enough to
that-
know better.
Yeah. Old enough. I mean, if you were like 6 or 5, I could have said one thing. But at that age, you're old enough to know what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
only-
actually tomorrow. I'm doing something for a Toastmasters meeting. I'm actually the Toastmaster for the meeting, and I was trying to come up with because I volunteered today, so I had to come up with a theme real quick. And so the theme is going to be Summer's End, and basically, if you're the Toastmaster, you kind of preside over the meeting, and then you give a short speech at the beginning. What my speech is going to concern itself with is how the end of summer is lousy for kids but awesome for adults, unless you're a teacher. But otherwise it's awesome because, like, yeah, end of summer when you're a kid, you have to go back to school, you have homework again, you can't just do whatever you want. But if you're an adult, you probably weren't doing that during the summer anyway. And plus, at the end of the summer, you get stuff like football, you get the end of baseball, which is always good.
You get livable weather.
Yeah, you actually get weather that you can go outside and actually do stuff in. And
You
then
can go
it's
places and there's not a horde
like-
of children.
the holidays are summer for the adults because that's when, like, you can take time for Christmas. There's that 2 weeks in between, like, Christmas and New Year's where no one is doing anything, and it's the easiest fucking time to work at all, unless you're in retail, I guess.
Or counting, I guess.
Or a musician. But I make a lot of money there, so I can't really complain.
I guess it's really that's a very narrow worldview to just say, man, Christmas is awesome because you don't have to work very hard, and there's
I think
millions of people who work the
And
hardest.
elves. Millions and millions of elves.
I think you're not wrong in that there's a very big portion of at least the Western population that, yeah, you're right. Those 2 weeks, they either take off or there's not a lot of work getting done or whatever. But yeah, it's for anyone who's in the entertainment or service industries. Those are really, really busy times. The stuff that I do at the theater and the gigs that I play, December is the height of that. And then my vacation is like the first 2 weeks of January, where the last thing anybody wants to do after an entire month of gluttony is go out and see a show or watch a concert. So January is when I get to, like, sleep.
Yeah, so it's that's basically the thrust of my speech is that the end of summer doesn't have to be sad.
No, when
least
you're an
not for
adult,
us.
one of my favorite places in town is a place called Yummy Yogurt. It is a frozen yogurt place with all the trappings and trimmings that you'd expect. They're super cheap. They always have really good stuff there. They also make a pretty mean cappuccino. It's quick. The people there are always really nice. The place is really clean and friendly and the whole 9 yards. Except during the summer, if you go, it is always just filled with hordes of children. Hordes and hordes of screaming, maniacal children. Whereas during the school year, if you go not on a weekend, chances are good that it's a relatively calm and quiet place. And I like it very much.
That is one of the things about when you go to movies as well.
Yes.
If you you're a lot less likely to see kids like at let's say a Thursday night 7:00 show that has become really, really popular, thank God. But you're a lot less likely to see kids than when it's not the summer. Unfortunately, those showings are a lot rarer when you get into, like, at the end of summer because there's just not the movies for them. But I've got a feeling that with some of the Christmas stuff coming up, like Star Wars, you're gonna see that again. You're gonna see those shows. Oh my God! So who's going to Star Wars Disneyland and Disney World?
If someone would like to sponsor me to go to Star Wars, Starland, Star Tours, Star Disney World craziness of fun, absolutely, I would love to go.
So it's the Orlando one and not the Anaheim one.
It's both.
It's
Oh,
both.
really?
They're making, yeah, they're doing both places. They'll probably be a lot of similarities and some differences, like both, happen too. But I mean, at this point, I've never been to Disneyland. I've been to Disney World a couple times because I lived on that coast for a while. So I would eventually like to go to Disneyland. But yeah, I mean, what is it, 18 acres or something ridiculous like that?
It's
it's
huge. I
it's
haven't
huge.
been since 1986, but yeah, I kind of miss it. I'm thinking once I have kids, I want to head down there. I'm not a huge, as
screw
huge a Star.
that. No, just go with Anju. Just
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
go
thing. I'm
down
not a
the two
huge
of
Star
them.
Wars fan, so it's not justify the price for me to go just to see this because I'm not like Star Wars. It's like for me, it's fandom. I've seen the movies; they're good. It's like on the same level as Harry Potter for me. I wouldn't call myself like a fan, but like I wouldn't say no if it was on
Well,
TV.
I'm just saying, you guys should just go to Disney World just by yourselves.
In general?
Anyway, yeah, just like the last time we went, we just happened to go down during Star Wars weekend, and that was a lot of fun. Like we were waiting in line for, I want to say, it was either the Magic Kingdom or Epcot. I don't remember. So we were lined up at the front, and they had two stormtroopers on the top of the like ticketing roof, and so they were just kind of there, and they were like just talking like Clerk style or Red versus Blue style, just like, hey, so how about that one? How about that one Wookiee at the bar last night? Yeah, he was pretty funny. And what was ingenious was, in order to, because obviously they weren't talking, it was like pre-recorded, and they were just kind of like pantomiming along. But to signal that it was time to start a bit, they would have the sound of a shuttle flying over, and so they would both like look up at the shuttle, and then they would start their bit. And I thought that was actually a really clever way of doing that.
That is pretty rad.
And as someone who visited Disney World as an adult, not with kids, it is totally a lot of fun. It is, Disneyland and Disney World are both ingenious in that it is family friendly in the sense that you can be of any age and have fun. And yeah, there's stuff that's geared more towards small children. And yes, there are bars and places you can go and have drinks and do have more adult entertainment. But the whole thing is a ton of fun. And as long as you kind of get into the Disney mindset, it's a lot of fun to go and just be there and go on all the rides. And when I went, it was many, many years ago, the last time I went to Disney World, I went up on a random Wednesday because I had friends who were there for the week. And they came down to Florida at like the perfect time. They came in the middle of February when nobody was around. And so they said, hey, come up, because from where I was living, it was only like a 2-hour drive or so. And they said, come up, and whatever park you want to go to that day is the park that we'll visit that day. And so that's what we did. And the place was relatively empty because it was a Wednesday in February. And we went on every ride. We went to MGM, and I went on every single ride, including the roller coasters, some of which I was unhappy with because roller coasters. And it was great fun wandering around as an adult and kind of just being in that fun, pardon the pun, goofy mindset. And it's ingenious when you think about it in hindsight about how crafted those experiences are, that they don't feel like going to Kiddieland. They feel fun for adults.
Yeah, totally. And it is definitely one of those things where you have to be in the mindset for it. There are some things that are just fun. Like you can kind of go to, let's say, like Six Flags and be in kind of a bad mood. And then you get on a couple of roller coasters and you're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Disney World doesn't really have any like thrill rides like that. So you have to, like Obo said, you have to be in the mood for that kind of fun. But once you are, it's great. I've been to Disney World once, and I've been to Disneyland once. And I remember when I went to Disneyland, I don't remember being impressed with Anaheim at all. And I was even younger than when I went to Pueblo. And I remember I didn't really know what to make of it. But looking back at my memories now, I think I knew somewhere that Anaheim was a piece of shit. But but Disneyland was great. Disneyland was awesome.
Mm. Have I ever told the story about how Disney World made me cry because of the Muppets?
No, but please do.
So I don't know if that it's the case anymore. When I went that last time for the day, one of the reasons I wanted to go to MGM was because they have an attraction there that's at the time when I was super young in high school and went, it's called Muppet Vision in 3D. And then by the time I went again, yeah. And then when I went again and it was the early 2000s, it was Muppet Vision in 4D. But it was just a rebranding. It was the same ride. And what I hadn't realized until I walked on in was that they had intentionally left it the same exact experience because it was all the original Muppet actor voices, including Jim Henson. So they hadn't redubbed anything as the newer voice actors. And this was several years after Jim Henson had passed away and his son had taken over, and newer cast members had been coming on in. And so I'm sitting there as a full-grown adult, knowing what the ride was. But the instant Kermit opened his mouth and it was the voice I remember from Kermit, I just started to cry. And I made my friends go back and do the ride. And it's not a ride. It's you go into the Muppet Theater and you sit there and you're watching the Muppet Show. And it's a 3D experience in a movie theater kind of thing. And it's super well done.
But seats have like little stuff that it does. Like the seats have like air blowers underneath.
Yeah.
So it feels like rats are crawling around by your feet, and it has other cool stuff.
It's got Statler and Waldorf up in their box on the side as I think they're animatronics. It's got a couple of live action elements. It's super well done, and it's cheesy 3D of the hey look we're poking stuff at your face.
Well, they hang a lantern on it though. They actually like Kermit's all, no, we're not. This is going to be dignified. This isn't going to be like Cheap Jokes TV. And then Fonzie comes in. It's like, oh, are we doing 3D? Ooh, it's totally fun. It's awesome.
It's amazing. But yeah, the first time we went, I couldn't help it. I started to cry because it was such a moment back to my childhood to rehear these voices that I hadn't heard in forever, that we had to go back and see it again so I could then enjoy it, because I spent the whole first time just being like, oh, that's Jim Henson and he's dead. So I want to go again because it's now been a very long time, and it is very possible that's no longer the case, and that is the newer voices, because at this point I'm a relic. Most kids who've grown up with the Muppets these days, if they were to hear Jim Henson as Kermit, it wouldn't sound right to them. So I would be very surprised if it was the original voice actors, but you never know. You never know at Disney World.
What defines Kermit the Frog's voice for me more than the Muppet Show and the movies is his bits as a reporter on Sesame Street.
On Sesame Street, yes.
Kermit the Frog here, and he'll be in this trench coat and the hat and like the Newsflash logo on Sesame Street. That just takes me back. And the thing with Sesame Street is they keep recycling stuff from even though I saw it in like 1985 or 87 or 89, it's probably something that might have been years and years older than that, like even from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and a lot of times, even on newer airings of Sesame Street, they'll still show stuff like that. Like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
10,
exactly.
11, 12.
So even kids now probably have an awareness of that song. I remember one of them, my favorite one of those bits was the one where it was the mating ritual of the two creatures on the moon.
The Coos-Banes.
Yes. That one was amazing. I think I sent a video to someone of that. I'm like, oh, I just remembered this, and it was super awesome.
Wait, are they the yips going yip yip yip? Something.
No.
They kind of looked like that, but they had feet that spun around like pinwheels, and in the end, they ran towards each other and exploded into one another into a whole batch of babies.
Aw, wow!
It was the most violently adorable.
It's crazy.
It was violently adorable.
Must be before Tipper Gore got to it. Careful with that joke.
Every once in a while when I go to the store, I still hear that mother from the animated short going, a loaf of bread, a bottle of milk, and a stick of butter.
That sounds familiar.
There's a bit, and it's a mother giving money to her child and telling her to go to the corner store and pick up a loaf of bread, a bottle of milk, and a stick of butter, because it was the Bronx, New Yorkish accent. And so it's supposed to be a little animated short about memorization and learning to remember things. And it's the little girl all the way to the store going, a loaf of bread, a bottle of milk, a stick of butter, a loaf of bread, and then getting it and coming back. And so, yeah, every once in a while, because that's what I remember is a loaf of bread, a bottle of milk, and a stick of butter.
The two that stand out in my mind are the healthy food rap that Cookie Monster did, where he's actually dressed up like a member of Run DMC and like a walk-aware kind of rock-aware kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like their vegetables who were like singing in the background. And everyone lost their minds when Cookie Monster said cookies are a sometimes thing. When as early as like 1986, he's rapping about the importance of don't eat cookies all the damn time.
Yeah.
And the other one was Put Down the Ducky, where all the celebrity cameos where Hoots the Owl is trying to teach Ernie that maybe while you're playing your sax isn't the best time to hold a rubber ducky, which is a lesson that holds up as well now as it did back in the 80s when I first saw it.
The only reason I'm a musician today is I learned to put down the ducky.
I like Sesame Street has been kind of on point with their parody game lately because they've had like a Star Wars parody. They had the Hungry Games. They had what was it? It was House of Cards, but not.
But it was Frank Underwolf.
Frank Underwolf, that's right. And then I remember like some of them aren't that great.
Like the Game of Thrones one was okay.
The Game of Thrones one was they were trying a bit too hard, and it was like. Yeah, it was.
And the Avengers one?
The Avengers one was also not great. Yeah, I remember not being.
Although Cookie Monster's Hulk is perfect casting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have we already talked about the fact that Sesame Street is moving to HBO?
I don't think we
have not.
Okay, so I've been of split mind of this move. Now they're still going to be showing the episodes on PBS, so it's not like PBS is losing them. But on the one hand, guess what? PBS doesn't have a lot of funding, and Sesame Street deserves to be funded. And if HBO is going to pay for it and let it be exactly the same, then why not? Why not? And if they're still going to let PBS have it so that it can be on public television and parents don't have to subscribe to HBO, then why not? And on the other hand, it's a little weird to think that the same channel that gave us Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones
it
and
didn't
at 2
actually give us
o'clock.
Breaking Bad. That was AMC.
Yeah.
Oh, is that okay? That has given us some fairly adult, violent content, amazing content, insanely good content, but still adult stuff.
Sure.
And if you watch it at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can see sexy things. Is now going to have Sesame Street.
But they've had children's programming for a long time. There's that Happily Ever After series they've been doing for 20 years.
And didn't they have what was it? It was Fairy Tale Theater.
I think it's something similar. It might have been like the same.
That might have been
vein.
Showtime. I don't remember, but
yeah. So it's not new. I mean, the cool thing about Home Box Office doing it is that they're showing a commitment. A lot of people who work for them now probably almost everybody grew up on watching Sesame Street, right? So
yeah,
anyone who's been complaining, I bet most of the complainers. I mean, how many of them actually give to their local public television station?
Right.
Probably none.
Probably none, right? That said, we still get to watch them. But it is the kind of sad moment where there's a paywall behind brand new episodes of Sesame Street where something that was sort of meant for everybody, that was sort of meant to bring people up and help socialize people, especially urban kids, maybe kids who are children of immigrants like myself, to America, now, like, you're still going to have it, but the new stuff is going to go to the people who can afford the HBO subscription. Although HBO is not
say
expensive.
that, like, I didn't get the impression that like, it was an HBO exclusive. I think they're going to be shown.
No, they're eventually. It's a first run thing. Like they're going to first crack at it.
Exclusive.
Eventually, it'll go to public television. But even the fact that the rich kids get to watch Sesame Street first, it irks me a little bit.
Well, and to kind of mitigate that a little bit, I think HBO has been really good about releasing clips and stuff on YouTube.
Sure.
We've seen that with John Oliver.
Oh yeah.
And it's a lot harder with stuff like Game of Thrones because you can't release really clips on that. But John Oliver. And to a point, Sesame Street is perfect for that. So I think you'll still have the Sesame Street presence on YouTube. In fact, the Sesame Street presence on YouTube may not change at all. They may still show clips from new shows. So kids who are watching Sesame Street on YouTube and not necessarily PBS, their experience may not change at all.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
How many people watch like terrestrial TV anymore?
Yeah.
And on top of that, HBO now having the on-demand, you don't have to have cable, you can just pay for HBO and get it on all of your devices. That may be the way that they're appealing to people who don't want to have a whole cable subscription.
Sure.
They just dropped a couple of bucks a month, and now they're getting something not just for the adults but the kids in the room. So, as long as PBS continues to get it, I think it's okay. It is a little sad that that's probably necessary in order to keep funding alive for the show, but I think if anyone's going to treat it right, it's HBO.
Yeah, and the choice between this and there being no Sesame Street at all, HBO is definitely the way to go. I mean, that's eminently preferable for this to the show ending.
Yeah.
It's a 5-year deal, right? Like that's all they've agreed to so far.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It is kind of a sad moment that like public radio, like public television support has dwindled so much that the Sesame Street Workshop has to do this just to keep going.
Yeah.
It's kind of I mean, I get it. Like,
well,
with cable being what it is, like it sort of made a lot of public television like redundant. But at the same time, I grew up, and it's one of those easy ways to like educate and socialize yourself onto a whole culture. And like, I learned so much watching Mister Rogers' Neighborhood, watching Sesame Street, watching Shiny Time Station. I grew up on that stuff just as much as I did on like cartoons, and I learned stuff.
There was a brief moment of time when I was super, super young where my parents say, and I don't remember this because my French is abysmal now, but that I apparently was learning enough French that I could speak some French as well as English, because when I was growing up in Buffalo, we got not just the PBS station that was in Buffalo in America, but we'd get the Toronto and the Montreal one. And so they were required to show the English version and then the French version. So my parents have told me stories about how I would watch Sesame Street literally all day, because I would start on PBS, because they would usually show like 2 episodes in a row. And then I would switch to CFTO TV, which would then show 2 or 3 episodes in a row, 1 in French and 1 in English. So there was a very brief moment in time where I could have been bilingual, and then I was an idiot.
Well, I same thing with me in piano lessons, but hey, bygone. So we're getting kind of mauled, and I have something to either lift or break our spirits here.
Okay.
Here goes.
How many potatoes does it take to kill an Irishman?
Oh God, I don't know. How many potatoes does it take to kill an Irishman?
None.
Taking me
I
a
just
second.
broke. I'm broken. I'm broken. You broke me.
You can all thank our good friend Izzy for that one. And something else to kind of with people's spirits who maybe are watching the stream. The pictures you've seen all hour are stuff from the RTX 2015 Booze Cruise. It was a lot of fun, and I got to take pictures there, and I got to do it while completely hammered. I literally stumbled over my camera. I have no idea how I didn't put my camera into the water or break it otherwise, but here we go. And so far, this album has gotten some good feedback, and I'm hoping to have more pictures soon.
Yeah, I love that the Glib
We'll
Shark
see.
logo's on them too. Glib Shark photos.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, got to have your watermark, yo. Although
That's
I
true.
actually,
Gotta represent.
to be fair, I do have my own watermark for things that are like for mainly actually work stuff. Like when I take pictures for work, I have a watermark that I use for that. But anyway, that's not what's important. Is lots of friends and a boat and tons of booze, and it was awesome, and I can't wait to do it again.
And they are fantastic photos. And for someone who wasn't at the Booze Cruise, it's a lot of fun to see. Also, I'm looking forward to more of your pictures.
Same. Though apparently, as a broadcast, we have to issue a retraction. It's not often that we make mistakes on this show, but we have dedication to discovering the facts as they are.
It's
come
not
to our
often, but
attention-
it's as often as we can.
it's come to our attention that Izzy did not, in fact, come up with that potato joke.
No, she got it from it was via Izzy from a Reddit thread, and I believe it was one on Latvian potato jokes.
I
there's that
now have
connection.
a better opinion of Izzy.
Izzy's reputation +5.
Yes, exactly.
So now
Oh, come on. I don't think that would have broken anyone's reputation.
No, all the Paragon voice dialogue tree options that were available to her before were closed off because of that.
You have no blue dialogue, sir.
No blue. Oh man!
Wow, ending on Mass Effect jokes. That's a thing that just happened.
Indeed. And just a reminder to our friends who are playing the Dungeons and Dragons for Jocks Fantasy Football League. Registrations are open. Just tweet at GlibShark if you're interested in signing up. We'll probably do a draft sometime next week. I'm actually thinking even before the show proper. But I'll message the team members regarding that. I originally had an idea of doing something where it's like a charity, like a different podcast, celebrity podcast, D&D thing. But I like a regular format. And I think 2 leagues is the right speed for me this year.
I think no leagues is the right speed for me.
Well,
I
sure, except for
agree.
League of Legends.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm skipping fantasy football completely this year.
Letting the ground lay fallow for a time.
Yeah, it got to be such a chore, and
Ooh.
I was watching football anyway, and I got sick of trying to figure out who I was rooting for. So I can very, very, very boil it down. Fuck the Patriots. Sorry, Lammy. And who else?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Yeah, I have an affinity for the Seahawks just because I went to a middle school called Chester Nimitz Middle School, and our emblem was the Seahawks. And I'm like, oh, there's an actual Seahawks in the NFL. And during that time, they were awful.
Yeah. I guess I got my Eagles. I'm an old school Niners fan from back in the day. And for AFC, I guess Baltimore. But that's about it as far as teams go. But I got my 2 league teams, and I'm hoping that 9th year in that I win the league this year, which means I break even from all the money I put into it so far.
If you win this year, you're not quite in the hole.
That's right. That's right.
How many paid leagues are you in? I've only done
I'm only in the one, but
Okay.
that's the one I do for my church. And every year we do it not too far from here, and it's fun to be able to do it. But 2 years I came in 2nd place, so I finished in the money twice. However, I feel like this is the year where I'm finally able to pick the brain of my new brother-in-law and unlock the secrets that take me to fantasy football superstardom.
I
Go
can't think of a
Hawks.
better note to end on. Yes, go Hawks. Oh, PAX.
PAX, it's
In
right.
like 10 days.
Lauren, you're going to PAX, right?
No,
Oh,
I am not.
No.
So
then our show has no presence at PAX this year.
yeah, so we were gonna go, except it looks like Luke is actually going to be moving down officially to the United States the Friday of PAX,
Hooray!
and so for that reason, plus monetary reasons, plus timing reasons, we actually sold our PAX badges. So technically, no, we are not going to PAX. We live in the area. I am still taking that weekend off. So if there is anybody who is in the Seattle area for PAX, we're basically going to be hanging out and around the convention center. And as you gentlemen well know, a big part of PAX is just hanging out at some of the restaurants in the evenings or even during the day. The Elephant Castle is going to be open up again, and I anticipate another Monday of just staying there for 8 hours, buying drinks and saying hi to people. So while I'm not going to be on the convention floor, we'll be around.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have a wedding the week after PAX, I believe. And because it is PAX weekend because Labor Day is late this year, right? It's like the
Yeah.
7th.
Yeah.
Labor Day is like 2 weekends later, so it's surprising to me that they're still doing a 4-day PAX convention, not on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where even though I probably could have made the convention just like time wise, vacation wise, it would have been tough. And especially with some of the other commitments that I have, it just wasn't something that was in the cards. So, but I will be there in spirit. I would rather have a cardboard cutout of me being toted around and pictures being taken with that. And of course, it would have my cardboard cutout would have a hand in goosing distance. So that would be a thing. Like, okay, so if anyone makes a cardboard cutout of me, make sure that my hand is ass level, because that's how I roll.
On that note,
Oh God! On that note, no, we couldn't end on fantasy football dominance. We had to be
No.
like, oh, Roadblock is the gooser.
our sound
Yep.
producer is Jonathan the Gooser Cerna.
Fuck you. God damn it!
Our announcer is the inimitable voice actor Bob Ball. Our theme music was done by Linnea Boyev. And on behalf of Jonathan the Gooser Cerna, Lauren Obo Crazy Urban, and myself, Jack Edithel, this is me saying good night, good health, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12.
I hope all your vaulters die in mole rat attacks.
Oh, so much fun.
That was awesome.
That was fun.
That was
great.
awesome.
All right, streamers or streamer, thank you so
Streamers,
much for joining
plural.
us. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, it's plural.
Plural.
Wow. Nice. All right. Well, we're gonna go now.
Oh no.
Don't
What?
don't say anything, Lauren.
Oh no. Okay.
What?
So, nothing.
Nothing
So,
at all.
You guys.
No, fuck you. What's going on? I can't see the chat.
So Demono actually posted, "Be right back, changing John's username on RT to the_Gooser."
Oh, I'll change it right back. That son of a bitch.